everybody today to say that we're celebrating life. I'm Baba Shamari. I consider my sister Beauty family. I've known the children since they were yay high. So I'd like to ask the elder of the family if I may proceed. With the elder's permission, it is our tradition as African people to always acknowledge our ancestors. We always acknowledge the great ancestor first, known as God, Yahweh, Oludumare, the many names that we know of God. We always pay homage to that creative force. And I need for you, even behind your mask, to be a part of this celebration. Because each and every one of us who are here came through a mother or a birth or creation. So when I pour libation, I need you to say, I should. So we pour libation to the Most High God that created any and all things, everything that we're connected to that we don't even think that we're connected to. Without God, there would be no us. Without our mothers, there would be no us. Without our fathers, there would be no us. So we pour libation to the Mother, Father, God, and we say, Ashe. What makes us live, move, and have our being here on earth is that there's a spirit of that creation inside of us. That spirit never dies. The body dies, but that spirit never dies. So just as you may not know it, as we do this ceremony for my sister, she's here among us. So I like to call out her name first. We call on the spirit of Ovbije Onomake and say Ashe. We call upon the spirit of the first mother of all, known as the nation, say Ashe. The first father of all, say Ashe. We're going through a very difficult time in another world pandemic. This is not the first. This is just one of many. African people have had the resilience, not just people, the world, but to survive through those things. So I want you to think about those names of those folks who may have passed based on the world pandemic, or just based on it was their time to go. And I need for you to say their names so we can invite them here to be a part of this ceremony. I will start. I always remember my mother who recently passed, 2017. Her name is Louise Matthews. I said, Ashe. Just shout out today. I'm Kathy. Ashe. Ashe. Any more names? Ashe. Any more names? Ashe. 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 What I want you to know is that even if you're sitting there thinking of a name and afraid to say it, that spirit is here because you brought it here. The other thing I want you to know is that we can be here for weeks upon weeks calling names if we really concentrate. So for all those names that we did not say, and for all of those people who were not mentioned, who we know are in our hearts, our minds, and our spirits, we pour libation and we say Ashe. Beauty's three beautiful daughters were never a thought at one time. But as soon as they became a thought in Beauty's mind and her husband's mind, these beautiful children were created. Everything starts from a very cosmic place that we don't know about and we're not sure about. But we believe through the evidence that it exists. So we pour final libation for our children who are yet unborn. Those who are carrying your legacy and my legacy, and their blood will be the same blood that you gave them. These children carry the same blood that their mother and father gave them. So we pour final libation for our children who are yet unborn, and we say Ashe. 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 I see you. This concludes our libation and begins this formal ceremony.
Thank you, Baba Shema.
You're welcome.
Good morning. My name is Pastor Renee Biggs, formerly Carr. Beauty Onomake was my aunt, as she was many of yours. And it is my honor to share a message of comfort and encouragement to you today. First, I want to start by reading a poem. And to make sure that I don't neglect. Yes. Remember, woman, you were born life giver, miracle creator, magic maker. You were born with the heart of 1,000 mothers, open and fearless and sweet. You were born with the fire of queens and conquerors. Warriors, blood you bleed. You were born with the wisdom of sages and shamans. No wound can you not heal. You were born the teller of your own tale. Before none should you kneel. You were born with an immeasurable soul, reaching out past infinity. You were born to desire with passion, abandon, and to name your own destiny. Remember, woman, remember, you are more than you can see. Remember, woman, remember, you are loved endlessly. Remember, woman, your power and grace, the depth of your deep sea heart, and never forget you are woman, divine, as you have been from the start. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. and Mrs. Tabori Ugbosu, who will do the first scripture reading.
Good morning, family. Good morning, everybody. Scripture reading is from Luke. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I also have a reading here from Philippians 1, chapter 3. Thank God, I thank the Lord, I thank God every time I remember you. Thank you very much. Amen.
Thank you. For the reading of the obituary, Mrs. Margaret Talton Williams and Miss Danielle Toaster. Good morning. Aren't you supposed to do the first page?
The beautiful Beauty Ovbije Onomake had her grand rising March 17th of 1954. She was born to the late Chief Joseph Ovbije and the late Ore Ovbije in Sapele, Nigeria. She was their second eldest daughter. Beauty was the most affectionate known as Bitu to many, and like to be called Miss Beauty, Auntie Beauty, and Mama Beauty. She grew to be an outspoken woman. She attended and graduated from high school at Oregon Grammar School in Oregon, Delta State, Nigeria. While on spring break, vacationing with her uncle's side of the family, Auntie Beauty was introduced to the Onomake family, a story so simple, yet numerous people have their own version of how it occurred. According to Aunt Beauty, she met Chief Mrs. Dorcas Onomake, wife of the now late Chief O.J. Onomake, who informed her that her brother-in-law, that young man right there in the nice hat, was looking for a wife who was abroad. After sharing this information, Chief Mrs. inquired Auntie Beauty would be interested in marrying Ove initially. Auntie Beauty responded with an adamant no, of course. Then Chief Mrs. daughter, Irute, my apologies, an absolutely striking little girl who was around 4 years old, entered the room. Auntie Beauty then said, "If my children look as beautiful as her, I will marry him." She then went home from spring break to inform her family of her plans to marry. From there, the love letters flowed over the following year. Beauty and Ove were married April 16, 1972, and Beauty flew over to North America to meet her husband a year later. Both newly married and new to the States, both Beauty and Ove were adopted to several families who took them in as their own. The pair expanded their home with the birth of their 3 beautiful daughters, Rari, Ero, and Ore. Auntie Beauty also gained a son, James, via Ero, in 2018. Mother and son shared a close bond from their first meeting. Auntie Beauty's belief in the African concept of family was strong, and she and Ove welcomed many people into their family circle. This is witnessed in their forever growing family, which includes many brothers, sisters, cousins, godchildren, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren. Auntie Beauty always had time to listen and advise anyone who came to her, and sometimes people who didn't initially seek her help. She saw the best version of everyone and encouraged them to believe in themselves. Auntie Beauty's straightforward, sometimes directly shady, but always loving approach was well known.
Good morning again. To Auntie Beauty family, education and community were of the utmost importance. Always an active parent, Auntie Beauty participated in every possible activity with her children. For example, the girls participated in a range of activities including Girl Scouts, horseback riding, swimming, lacrosse, art classes, and reading clubs. Beauty and Ovi sought to expose their children to a world of options with a focal point on travel, which is a tradition in the Onomake household. As the girls got older, Auntie Beauty advocated for diversity and worked against bullying in the Bloomfield Hills School District. Forever a lifelong learner, Auntie Beauty attended Wayne State University, where she graduated with a bachelor's degree in accounting and a master's degree in fashion design. She was also offered a tennis scholarship at Schoolcraft College. As an avid athlete since childhood and during her days at Oregon Grammar School, this was no surprise. Alas, Auntie Beauty turned down the scholarship, simply explaining that I already have my degrees. Instead, she went on to become a USTA pro with records that still haven't been broken at both the Franklin Racquet Club, and the Beverly Hills Racquet Club. Tennis and golf eventually became her leisure activities after she started her own business in 1993, designing formal wear for many members of the Detroit City Council alongside importing and exporting African art and clothing. Auntie Beauty was also an active member in various communities throughout Metro Detroit, including movements for racial justice and equity, adult education, Afrocentric cultures, and various, I hope I said this right, Urhobo and Nigerian groups. She served on the founding committee for the United We Walk initiative as a planning committee member for the Community House's annual MLK Junior Breakfast, and on a plethora of other committees and boards. Beauty and Ovi were lifetime members of Charles H. Wright Museum and donated to the NAACP, as well as other national and international organizations. The reality is, she was a creative soul with a passion for good design, the arts, as well as culture. She was often found to be the last one standing on a dance floor and could outdance anyone, anywhere, anytime. The legacy of someone as loving and dedicated as Mama Beauty not only inspires but commands us to continue to uphold what she held dear: family, community, and education. Thank you. Did you want any?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'd just like to share a few words that family members from all over the world have sent in. We would be here all day, but I just want to give you a glimpse, as you all understand, into my mother's heart. So we grew up, I'm going to take this off, we grew up believing, as Mom said, that she got her zest in her outspoken nature when she married Dad. That one of our aunties said, you don't want to go over to America and marry this man and not, stand up for yourself. That wasn't quite true according to some of her friends in our family. So I'd just like to read a short bit from our Uncle Jomo, Ono Akporo Idise. And this is just a little insight to her in high school. So apparently the beauty that we know, that fire started there. So just a short clip. He said, knowing our elegant, light-skinned, tall, long-legged, avid volleyball player, slim-built, ever smiling, eyes twinkling, and narrative moods was our sister beauty, Ovbije Onomake. He also goes on to say that she always had an endless burst of energy, moving with zeal and zest among her close-knit friends. He said she would, however, resist oppressive or unacceptable examples of behavior. If she saw this happening and she deemed it to be incorrect, she would speak about this. He said the strong climax in her came when there was a fight in the girls' hostel. It exploded into higher dimensions of violence and bullying. And that's when she took a stand. He said her voice was known at this point. He even, I know that Mom would say this was a real honor, he even compared her to being the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. of their institute, so you can see how she fought for people. So she vowed to never take revenge, but to let people know that unacceptable behavior was unacceptable. So he goes on to talk about her work with our grandfather, that even when she was in school, she helped with doing the finances because that was her interest in accounting at that time, that she had impeccable accountability and skills management as a young person, and she was instructed to monitor and keep records for the family, and she did so meticulously. So Uncle, this long message, as he said, that's starting at a young age, she was fiery. Then he goes on to talk about more recent events. He said, at our mother's 90th birthday, she was not to be left outdone from any of the events. And she kept saying to one of our uncles, Kewe Akporo, just get ready, put your dancing shoes on, we're going to do this. And frankly speaking, and beholden to the challenge, she outpaced, as we said, and outdanced everyone. Recalling her beautiful laughter, I asked her if she had the same parents as Michael Jackson because she was so good at it. She initially blushed, as was her way. She glowed in outbursts of endless laughter. So I just wanted to share that, and I'll share one more point from our auntie, who is in Lagos, our Aunt Io, who is Mom's mother, her sister-in-law. And just so you all know, I know everyone in this room will agree with what I'm about to read, but it just really exemplifies her. So she said, "I am glad I made her happy in the course of her life journey." Sorry. She was always excited to be with her family. No one is her extended family. No one, you all know this. No one is her extended family. She didn't call any of us that, anyone. You are her family, pure and simple. Sisters and brothers, nieces, godsons, grandchildren. And I just want to go a little off script from what Auntie said here. I need you all to understand that when she was in the hospital, people would ask her about her family. Many of you were named, many of you here, many of you who are watching. Every day she would ask about my husband, James, and say, "Okay, how is my son? How is your husband?" Every day, even when she was just could not even keep her eyes awake or she couldn't eat anything, Uncle and Auntie were there, a witness. She asked. Her love was unconditional for all of us. I just want you to know that. So Auntie goes on to say that I can never forget those moments with her and Daddy. Glad our paths crossed. Onashere may continue to rest in peace. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
At this time, we invite you to approach the microphone to share any reflections you have. We just ask that you keep it under 3 minutes.
The Onomake family invited me into their family a long time ago. And it's been so long ago, I just felt like it was from birth. From catering family events, to being with their children, to being in their household, to telling me what horrible men not to date, to telling me that if it's not a Nigerian man, they're horrible. From Mom telling me that my fashions weren't as good as hers, because she was a pro, to countlessly begging Ore to make me lobster bisque soup, from my mom making the broom that my husband and I jumped at our wedding, homemade. She was very adamant that we jumped the broom and that it be a Nigerian broom. And I was absolutely elated that she did that. And that broom has been in our home ever since. And I'm grateful that we have her with us. Thank you all, and I love you.
Hello, my name is Marie. I met Miss Beauty back in the 90s. She was working an event down at Hart Plaza, and for some reason, the organizer had asked her to relocate her booth. I saw the hurt on her face, and I approached her. I says, "May I help you move?" She says, "No." So once she relocated, I went to the new booth. We talked. After that, I started going to the shop. We continued to talk. She took me under her wing. I'm part of the extended family. And I would help her at the shop organize her inventory. And we were the same age. And yes, she could hang better than me. She outdanced me. But I am honored and privileged to be a part of this family. And I just want to say that I am wearing one of Miss Beauty's designs. Thank you.
is Massamba Gay. I'm from Senegal. That's my sister and my mom. I know her when Ori was 5 years old. And was 5 years old, and he was on we was on Wenkan Community College, I think, in Illinois. And we sat up there and sell our merchandise. I don't know her, she don't know me. And Ori was sit down, she have a lot of stuff. She come and I asked her, sister, nobody here, just you. But that time I don't speak no English. I have to talk on my language, but I let her know. Sometimes I talk sign language. She said, no, no help, no help. I said, but if you like it or not, I'm gonna help you. You know. She said, what? Let me call my husband. I said, call your husband. I'm from Senegal, you're from Nigeria. Why you want me to leave you here in this building in the winter time and go home? And she called Ovbije. And I told Ovbije, okay, just try to understand. I'm African from Senegal. She from Nigeria. She work here with the baby, and she don't have nobody here, only the guy who clean the building. She want me to leave over here. She said, oh, I'm at work, help her, you know, and give it to me. And I help her, and I told her, okay, sit down. She sit down. She told me what, I told her, okay, just tell me what you want. That time, my English was very bad, but I'm gonna make her to understand very well. You know, she told me how to go on. Sometimes I put one thing, she said, no, 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 put it down, put it there. I said, okay, my mom. She said, no, I'm not your mom. That time, I don't know. I born in 58, she born in 54. She said, I'm your sister. I said, okay. And now, I put everything, and I told her, start her car, her battery's dead. And there was winter time, and I go get the jump on my van and jump her car. It's on. I'll come onto the large freeway. She make a right, a left turn, and I make a right turn, because that time I live over there in Chicago Boulevard. Until today, only one day, I see where she don't hug me. Only 2 days. But since then, Eden, we both are vendors. We go to Hart Plaza. But if I see her talking, when I ask her what it, because I don't know what is the lips mean. And she told me, when I do this, if she says something that I don't want, when I do this, she's never gonna open her mouth again. And I used to travel a lot. Barry gave me her key, told me, if you need my van, take it. I take her van, go to Memphis, go to Lafayette, Louisiana, go everywhere. She never asked me where you going. Even when they go to Nigeria, they go to give me the key. And my sister, I can write dictionary for what she do. But I want the family to know, if I can stay here and talk, you know, that may be what she done for me. But at least my house, more than 15 people live down there. I give them a lunch, breakfast, dinner, and I feed them because of her. And I never said, Beauty, take, even she sell you, she owe you 3 cents, she have to leave the merchandise and go get a change and give it to me. Because she was calculated today. She was say, oh, Masamba, one day I'm gonna be by myself. I have to pay my debt. And Beauty, when she saw somebody come talking to me, she just come pull me and put me on her back and say, that's my brother, what do you want? Everybody think I'm her brother. And I'm her brother, but we not same mother. But if you go to ask her, that's your brother, he from Nigeria, and you from, he said, our parents travel. You know, and what I want to say, I cannot even say that everything, but I'm asking law, please, to let my sister, who take her to the Mary, to my sister live with Mary and the paradise. And I ask God to keep all her family, the kid, and my brother, Ovbije. I ask Lord, to keep the family and all the friends, because that's hurt. That's hurt. My grandpa, my mother's father, that's one going to be alive. She was 116 years before she passed away. Her sister was 130. I asked Lord, just please give it to Ovbije at that age. After that, you can negotiate with him. You know. But whatever sister done for me, I cannot say nothing. Because either you call the news, I can take today, I'm talking from today to any day you can tell me you can stop. Because you do a lot for me. And I pray to God, all of us here, God try to give long lives and good health and keep all the family and all the friends together. And thank you for all of you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gladys Owono. This is our sister named Beauty. Isn't she beautiful? She's beautiful from inside and out. Yes. This lady laying here, she loves family so much. To the point that even if we are in the public function, she will locate you wherever you are sitting, just to hug you, just to greet you, and she will tell everybody, this is my sister. This is meet my sister. She will end up introducing you to everybody. I've known her since I was 13 years old. I didn't know that she would go this far. Auntie, we also rest in perfect peace. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for coming. Pardon me.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. There's a lot to say about Sister Beauty, and I'm going to make it very short. When I moved down to the United States, and I was told that I have a sister in Michigan, I said, what is in Michigan? And through Jomo, I was able to link up with her. And since there, she's been great. One thing about her, like Gladys said, if once you are linked to her, you remain part of her for life. You know, it is not how far, but how well. Sister, we're going to miss you. One thing about our culture, which is very interesting, is sister, we went for an occasion in Chicago, and at that occasion, people were talking, and we said something. And somebody said, no, you can't talk to him that way. And he came to me, he said, no, it's my brother, it's my younger brother. I can't talk to him the way I want. And everybody was looking at her. Because I'm a chief, you're not supposed to address me in a certain, you're supposed to address me in a certain way. But because she's my auntie, she doesn't see that chief in me. She sees me as a little brother. So when she talked to me, she's always using that word, you know. There was a time a niece came from Nigeria, you know, and I live in Springfield, Illinois. So her name is Anne, and I said, okay, I'm coming to pick her. He said, do good. I know you're in the military and you're going to do the military way. I said, I'm going to be there 2 a.m. I got off work, pulled out my uniform, and I drove all the way from Springfield, Illinois, and I got to that house exactly 2 a.m. her up, and we left. So, like I said, there's a lot to share about beauty. May our soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Beauty and I are cousins, and I did not know that for a very long time. I came to the Detroit area back in 1972, and one of the first person I met was her husband, Ovbije, who has become my friend ever since then. It turned out that Beauty lived with my auntie when she was a little girl. That's where she was raised. Now, recently I called my cousin in Canada to say Beauty died. I said, really? Then he told me that when Beauty lived with her auntie Margaret, he himself didn't know that Beauty was not her biological daughter. So my being Beauty's cousin is actually because of my auntie Margaret, who was in fact my mother's cousin. Ever since then, Beauty has always been very close to me. He and her husband are probably the closest family that I know in the United States. Whatever I do, I report to them. When I got married, they were the first person I talked to and seek advice. Every major decision I've made in life, whether to school, change of jobs, I've always talked to them. I knew when they have all their kids, starting from Rady to Ejiro to Ori. And they knew when they had my kids. And Beauty was like a mother to them. She took care of these kids for me many times when my wife goes to school or when I have to work. So we had that closeness all along. Then Lebna left me, even though I had difficulties, and when I met them, things were really hard for me. They stood by my side. And Beauty was just marvelous to me. We had discussions, sometimes we argue, but we all remember that we are relatives. And anywhere Beauty goes, he'll be the first to tell people, this is my cousin, all the time. That was the kind of person she is. And I'm going to miss her a whole lot. I don't know I can replace her. But whatever it is, God knows better. And I wish her a perfect rest in peace.
In our household, Auntie Beauty was known as Grandma Beauty. My children loved her so much. My mother-in-law passed away a few years ago, and my mom wasn't here. So Grandparents' Day, Front Run Day, anything that had to do with grandparents, my Grandma Beauty would pick them up and take them. She would have them over at her house after school, keep them, take care of them. She loved those kids and they loved her too. My kids are broken because she's gone. Any progress that they were making in school, tennis, swim, whatever they were doing in school, Grandma Beauty would call me and like, how did they do? What did they do? What did they get? What was going on? And I would get in trouble if I did not report to her right away. One day, Grandma Beauty picked them up and took them to the library, and they had a day, they had a blast. They got in this photo booth and they took those pictures where you get to make faces, and they came back and she had her set of pictures and they had their set of pictures. And my youngest goes up to her and she's like, as from now on, Grandma Beauty, I'm gonna start calling you Grandma Beautiful. And that's how Grandma Beauty became Grandma Beautiful in my household. She will be truly missed.
Say, I'm sick of this girl, right? There's so many things I could tell you about her, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. The one is, I met her as a result of my sister-in-law going to her shop, buying me some Annie Lee items. And I loved the items so much, I kept asking my sister-in-law where she got them from. And so she wouldn't tell me at first, and finally she told me, and I went to the shop, and I met her. And it was like that day, I met her, and we were sisters after that, you know. Her daughters became my nieces, my son became her nephew, and it was like, she would call, she says, how's my boy, how's my boy? That's how she said about my son, you know. And so, and then sometimes, you know, she talks so fast, we'd be talking on the phone, and I'm going, now what did she say? And so sometimes I go, now wait, say the last sentence one more time. And I mean, it's just like, sometimes her accent will be thicker than others, and sometimes I get every word, you know. But we just loved each other, and I'll never forget one time I gave her some pearls, okay? And I must admit, I had to grow into pearls too to get to that age. And first she didn't want to keep them. She said, I don't really wear pearls. I said, well, I didn't either, you know, but I said, I'm getting older now, and so, you know, anyway, Obi talked her into accepting them. And so then she said, you know, I actually like them. She said, I wore them to Ajaro's wedding. And I said, see how they came in handy, you know. And so anyway, and she came to all my son's honors events. And if she couldn't come, she would send Obi. So one time she wasn't able to go, Obi and Ori showed up. But she was always there. She always wanted to know about his progress, like they said, academically. And she was like, and he's the only boy on that side of the family, and you know he would be like a king in my family, and you know, you know, she told me all these different things. But one thing I will say, I was born with 3 sisters, but I feel like God gave me a 4th, okay? And I felt closer to her than I do to 2 of my other born sisters, seriously. I mean, she always understood everything. I'm gonna miss that so much, because she always understood everything we talked about. And she'll tell you if she didn't agree with you or whatever. Like one time she told me my hair was too dark. She said, what are you doing with that black hair? You know? And she said, you need to lighten it up. And Marie, you know, when I heard Marie, I didn't even recognize you over there. We lived in that shop, okay? I have about 100 figurines because of beauty. I'm not joking. I have 6 curios in my house, seriously. And this one last time, I tell you this. So one time I was going there, I wanted to buy this one, Bud and Lucille, I wanted to buy, and hot water cornbread, okay? And so I had my money already and everything, and I called her, and I was on my way to the shop, and she says, oh, no, I don't have any more. I said, Beauty, I told you I was going to come and get them on such and such a day, you know. She says, well, I don't have it, and I just have to order you one. So come to find out, Mr. here, hubby, had her to hold them for him, and he bought them for me. And so she had to tell me a fib so that he could buy them. I was like, how could you do that? It was so funny. But anyway, I'm going to miss my beauty. Yeah. I love her. Yeah. Thank you.
So, my better half, my name is Chris Williams, and it's only befitting because Beauty always said she thought we made a good team. So I think she's gone through just about everything, but yeah, she's right. She told you a lot of the good stories, and I became the chauffeur that day because she said, I want you to take me to the shop. And just like most men, I'm kind of like, oh man, I don't really want to do this, and this is going to take hours. I went there, I met Beauty, and it was just a fantastic experience. You know, she has such a commanding presence. And not just the beautiful outfits that she wore, but when she entered a room, she kind of, you know, you noticed her. Yes. And she was always the person who was just really I mean, she was just a really lively kind of person, always extending of herself, and she just kind of took over. Yes. And so I was accepted, and I think initially she kind of sized me up like, so I know Margaret's really outgoing and everything, but I wonder how her husband's going to be. And typically, I tend to be quiet, but once you really get to know me, you realize that I'm probably a little more outgoing than she is. But I met her. I so much enjoyed talking with her, and I would see her out, and I'd see the girls out at Sam's Club or wherever it would be, and I'd always see her. But she walked really fast. So I would see her from a distance, and I'm looking, and I'm going, that's Beauty. And I almost thought, Beauty, Beauty. And I'm just kind of like running, and she kind of looking, goes, oh, my brother. And I'm like, yeah, how you doing? But, you know, as a person, I'm so much better to have met her, to have known her, to be a part of the family, because it's not just to have been, or, you know, I just felt the love, and she always, anytime I saw her, she would say, how's my boy?
Yep.
How's my boy? Yep. So there are 3 girls, but there's kind of a son there too, so it's really 4.
No, not
but,
kind of, there is.
And, you know, I just remember being so proud and so appreciative over the years, because you guys always came out, always supported Christian. If it was an award ceremony, whatever it was, Ori taking the pictures, and, you know, it's just, in life, you meet a lot of people. You meet good people, you meet other people, but she was she was just a great person. And I think to been a part of her circle, to have your life enriched by her, that brings it brings a note of happiness to me, to our family, right? Because we're all family.
Right.
So I'm probably talking too much, but I just wanted to share that with you, just how proud and how happy I am to have known her and to have been a part of her life. So thank you all.
And she let me know all the time she was my big sister. She said, you're the little sister.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Miigwa family, and to my brothers and sisters, Miigwa brother Ovbije, thank you so much for marrying my sister and being part of your family and sharing her with me. Miigwa to my 3 beautiful nieces, that is absolutely beautiful, like they mother and they Aunt Effia, of course. Amen. Miigwa. I was affectionately known as baby sister. My name is Effia Mawusika, also known as Effia, or Reverend Carr. You knew when she called me Reverend Carr, I was in trouble. You know this, right? When I met Beauty, I was working at Michigan Bell down the street from one of her shops that she had on Woodward and the Boulevard. I went to buy something. She looked at me, and I was asking questions about the culture and being an African descendant. She was telling me, for one thing, your skirt isn't long enough. Number 2, cover your shoulders. And you need to wear a head tie. All this on my lunchtime. Incidentally, yes, I was late getting back to work. And then, but you know what? I came back. Why did I go back to the shop the next day and kept going? I came back. This beautiful woman who was tall, one of the tallest women I ever seen, bossed me around, told me what to do, told me to respect her, and told me, and doing that, she also told me, you look like my family. You're my baby sister. And I'm looking at this lady who is bossing me around. I'm fully grown now. My daughter was an adult by then, and she's ordering me around. And I'm listening to her. Then she tells me, okay, you need to come out and meet your brother-in-law and your nieces. I said, she is crazy. She lives in Bloomfield. I don't go to Bloomfield. I live in the hood of Detroit. What am I driving out there? And she gonna tell me what time to be there and how to be there. And I went. And I was kind of militant anyway. Nobody tells me what to do. I was the oldest, my mother's children. I'm 40, you know. I went and showed up. And it was the most exhilarating experience. The girls all greeted me. They bowed down, they hugged me, and I wasn't used to that. I'm like, wow. And Brother Obi says, hello, my sister. I said hello, and when she was fussing at me, he used to defend me, and she would say, he's spoiling you. He would tell her, leave your baby sister alone. Stop fussing at her. So I said, oh, I had an ace card. Okay. When she bossed me around, I'll just call my brother and tell him that it bothered me. So we kept at it for years and years and years. And she loved me, and I loved her so much. She was the oldest sister I wanted. It would get to the point sometimes that she would get on my nerves because she would boss me around and tell me what to do. So she pulled an ace card when she would call me, and I would stop answering her calls because I was sick of it. I had been out on my own since I was 16-year-old. This woman ain't gonna come here and sit up here and tell me how I'm supposed to act and what I'm supposed to do. So she pulled the ace card. You know what the ace card is? She go to your mama's house. She call your mama, go to your mama's house. So she went to Nini's house, which was her mother too. And my mother called me and told me to come by. I come in there, I said, yes, Mom, what do you want? She said, your sister here. You see this face? What is she doing here? She came to talk to me because you're not acting right. You're not returning her calls. You're not doing this and doing that. And since then, I made sure I did what I was told because my mother let me know that is your sister. That was your sister that I didn't have to have. I love her so much. I really love her because I didn't have to carry her 9 months and go to labor. And then my mother reminded me, do you know how many days I was in labor with you? You ought to be like your big sister and be nice to me. I was in labor so many days with you. She gave me more of an ease. So you honor, respect her, and love her. And I did. She was so family. She was so everything to me. She was my boss. She ordered me around. She came to every event that I had. When I got ordained, she told me, now that you are ordained minister, I'm watching you. I'm watching you, and you better behave. So to the family, I love you. I love her. And to the memory of my sister Beauty, I had a saying that I would do when I call every week. Miigwa, sister. I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. You can't stop me, ain't nothing you can do about it. And she tell me, I don't want you to do anything about it. You better not do nothing about it. I said, well, you can't. You can't run this way. I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. I love her so much, and ain't nothing anybody can do about it, and I'll miss her. I'll miss her smile. I'll miss her bossing me around. Who's gonna order me around now? Thank you.
We thank you for sharing your heart and your memories of Auntie Beauty Onomake. And like you, I was taken into the family through my father's friendship with Uncle Ovbije and Aunt Beauty. My father and mother were very close friends with them, and Aunt Beauty called my father her brother. And there before, my sister and I, Trina's in the back, we became her nieces. And it's my honor to be able to be here to share a message that can encourage you. Funerals are difficult, and they usually come at a time when we least expect it. Certainly with Auntie, we did not expect her to go when she went, and it came so quickly. However, I'm reminded of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, where it says, to everything there is a season. It is the order that God put into the earth. And Auntie Beauty was about order. And so even though we miss her dearly, we accept God's sovereignty. We accept his decision. And now it is our time to remember. Now it is our time to embody what she was, who she was, to personify this remarkable woman. And so my sermon is an exceptional woman. Interestingly enough, I did not realize, Uncle, that your mother's name was Dorcas. I'm sorry. Oh, a sister-in-law. All right, okay. But Dorcas is who I'm going to talk about today. In Acts chapter 9, verse 36, the Bible says, now there was in Joppa a disciple, which means a learner, named Tabitha, which translated means Dorcas. She was full of good works and acts of charity. And in those days she became ill and died, and when they had washed her, they laid her in an upper room. And since Lydda was near Joppa, the disciples, hearing that Peter was there, sent 2 men to him, urging, please come to us without delay. So Peter rose and went with them, and when he arrived, they took him to the upper room, and all the widows stood beside him weeping and showing tunics and other garments that Dorcas had made while she was with them. Sound familiar? But Peter put them all outside, knelt down and prayed, and turning to the body, he said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and raised her up, and then calling the saints and the widows, he presented her alive. And it became known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. Dorcas was an exceptional woman. She touched many lives with her passionate service, so much that her death brought heavy grief, not only to her family, but to the entire community. Interestingly enough, Dorcas was not a politician. She wasn't affluent. She was not a spiritual leader. She was just a woman doing great works. And that made her exceptional. That's what makes us exceptional. It is not what we do, it is who we are. The scriptures say she was full of good works and charity. It was her character that gives her a mention in scripture. She was an exceptional giver. She was committed to the good. And when I look at society today and I think about my Aunt Beauty, I realize how rare she is. What a rare, incredible human being. And even though she is gone in the body, she is alive. God raises her up from the dead in us. In us. I think the best way to honor someone's life is to learn from it. And when you find good, take it into yourself. And I found nothing but good in my aunt. I found nothing but good in her works. I found nothing but good in her devotion to her husband. She was an exceptional wife, deeply loyal to her husband. And she taught us the same character. And yes, she poo-pooed my choices, and she was right. Every time. She was right every time, y'all. Proverbs 31 says of the ideal, exceptional woman. Now, here's what's interesting about the women that we see in society. We see women who refuse to raise their children intentionally. We see women who refuse to honor their husbands, who got lots of mouth, but not lots of character, not lots of devotion, selflessness. She was rare, but she's alive. She's alive in her beautiful daughters. She's alive in every daughter and every son in this place and beyond. The scripture in Proverbs 31 says of her, and this is just interesting to me that I never run into a part of this text that does not apply to her. That is rare. An excellent wife who can find, it says, she is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he has no lack of gain. That's why he said, go on and help her. He said, go on and help her, because he knew his wife was his. He was secure in her love and devotion to him. And that allowed for the love to spread to you. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. Now this is so exciting. I love this person she was. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hand, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. That's why she commanded a room. She understood what it meant to be a woman. Not some weak, fragile soul, but strong and mighty. She perceived that her merchandise was profitable and her lamp didn't go out at night. She put her hand to the distaff and held her hand to the spindle. She sewed. She opened her hand to the poor and reached out her hands to the needy. Lord knows that was me. Both poor and needy. She is afraid of snow for her household. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed in scarlet. And she made bed coverings for herself, and her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the gates when he sits amongst the elders of the land. You truly are an incredible man, Uncle. And I know she was honored to be your wife. And she helped you in many ways, I know, to become the man you are now. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the way of her household, does not eat the bread of idleness. Lord knows she probably never sat still in her life. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Yes. So many women, they look successful. They've got the degrees, they've got the job, they've got the car, they've got the clothes. But if you were to get inside of their home, you see a broken, angry, frustrated man, and you see children who are left to themselves. This was not who Beauty was. She worked inwardly and then outwardly. She was an exceptional person. She was fierce, she was fearless, she was loving, and she was dedicated to being her true self. You never saw Auntie faking the funk. You never saw one side or the other. She was just herself. And she encouraged us to be our own best selves. And when I, as a young person growing up, I remember her encouragement to me. Finish your education. Finish your work that you're doing. Be intentional with those children. Be strong. Be strong. Don't be afraid. think about her laughter, for she laughed often and deeply and long because she loved life, and it was infectious. Watching her dance on the dance floor with Uncle Ovbije, those two could get down. Honey, they were in sync with each other, and I mean, they could move. But see, that was a part of that celebration of life that was just an everyday thing. She was effervescent. I already said that her mom wanted for us to be better than what we wanted for ourselves. And that's what she saw in all of us. And I think that was the magnetism that drew us all to her. We looked in her eyes and we looked into her words and we saw what we could be. And we wanted to be that. I hope that never leaves you. I hope you keep aspiring to be that person. And in that, you honor her. You honor her memory. And she died an exceptional death. Dorcas died an exceptional death because she had done the work she was supposed to do. And God had plans for her death. He knew he would raise her from the dead. He knew that her life would glorify him in that process. In the same way, Auntie Beauty died an exceptional death. She left you an inheritance of love, an inheritance of strength, an inheritance of peace, an inheritance of understanding what is right and what is wrong, an inheritance of ability to fight when you find injustice somewhere, that you have the courage to stand up and say that this is wrong. Have the courage to say when things are wrong. Be a difference maker. Don't be afraid. This is the message of her life. And in this hour, being African or African American, we must take on this message. This is not a time for us to sit back and be silent. We see wrong, we must stand up against it. And so we honor her. Philippians 1:3 says, I thank my God for my remembrance of you. And she left a lifetime of memories, of intimacy and friendship. She left her daughters with a great portion of her spirit built into the very fiber of their being from their lifetime being modeled by her nurturing hands. As a woman, she is my forever model of dignity, wisdom, and strength. Her life meant something. She left us all an inheritance. Isaiah 41 says, give us comfort, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with my right hand of righteousness. I want to encourage as we gather together to remember that God is our refuge and our strength. We are forever embraced in the arms of our everlasting Lord for those who believe in him. John 11:25 says, I, Jesus, am the resurrection and the life. He that believe in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever lives and believes in me shall never die. This was a time when Lazarus had died and Jesus was trying to comfort Martha. And then Jesus asked Martha, do you believe this? And I ask you, do you believe this? Do you believe this? If you live in faith, if you live in faith, do you believe in the resurrection of Christ in you? John 14:1 says, let your heart not be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you will be also. And so we know that my aunt, your sister, your mother, your wife is in God's capable, loving hands. At this time, I'd like to call the funeral directors. Would you like to go up before?
Cemetery, which is located in Troy, Michigan. Those of you who will be traveling with us to the cemeteries, ladies and gentlemen, once we are dismissed, please go directly to your cars, turn your headlights on, proceed behind us. You'll see a white Suburban, do not go past that, and your car will be properly flagged. We ask that you please do not try to hold the family up, because there's a certain time we must be in those gates. So at this time, we'd just like to have one lady for the floral arrangements, if you just come right in this center aisle there, just one lady.